As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the dense forest, Mark found himself disoriented and alone. Stranded in unfamiliar territory after a hiking trip gone awry, panic threatened to consume him. With dwindling daylight and no sign of civilization in sight, he knew that the key to his survival lay in maintaining a clear head and resourcefulness. Mark's heart pounded in his chest as he took stock of his surroundings. Towering trees loomed overhead, their branches swaying ominously in the evening breeze. The forest floor was littered with fallen leaves and tangled underbrush, obscuring any semblance of a path. With each passing moment, the chill of night crept closer, urging him to find shelter before darkness fell. Drawing upon his survival training, Mark assessed his situation with a cool resolve. He knew that his first priority was to find a safe place to spend the night, a sanctuary from the dangers of the wild. With determination coursing through his veins, he set off into the unknown, trusting in his instincts to guide him through the darkness. As the moon rose high above the canopy, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape, Mark stumbled upon a clearing nestled amidst the trees. With a sense of relief washing over him, he set to work constructing a makeshift shelter, utilizing whatever materials nature provided. Branches were woven together to form a sturdy framework, while leaves and moss were piled high to create a protective barrier against the elements. Exhausted but triumphant, Mark settled into his newfound haven, the crackling of a small fire providing solace against the encroaching night. As he drifted into an uneasy slumber, he knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, but with each passing challenge, he would emerge stronger, more resilient, and ever more determined to survive. Amidst the rustling leaves and distant calls of nocturnal creatures, dawn broke over the wilderness, casting a warm golden hue upon the land. With the first light of morning, Mark emerged from his makeshift shelter, stiff and sore from a restless night's sleep. Yet, despite the discomfort, a sense of purpose fueled his movements as he set about fortifying his sanctuary against the trials of the wild. Drawing upon his knowledge of survival tactics, Mark began to reinforce his shelter, fortifying its walls and shoring up its defenses. Branches were carefully interwoven to create a more stable structure, while additional layers of foliage were added to provide extra insulation against the biting cold. With each improvement, the shelter took on a more homely appearance, offering a semblance of comfort amidst the chaos of the wilderness. As the day wore on, Mark ventured further afield in search of additional resources, scouring the forest for materials to bolster his defenses. Fallen branches were gathered and repurposed, while clusters of leaves and moss were carefully harvested to patch up any weak points in the shelter's construction. With each new addition, Mark's confidence grew, his determination to survive burning ever brighter in the face of adversity. By nightfall, Mark stood back to admire his handiwork, a sense of pride swelling within him at the sight of the sturdy shelter he had built from scratch. As he settled in for another night beneath the stars, he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them head-on, armed with the knowledge that he had the skills, the strength, and the resilience to overcome whatever obstacles the wilderness might throw his way. In the early light of dawn, Mark awoke to the growling protest of his empty stomach. With the previous day focused on shelter and safety, the pressing need for sustenance now demanded his attention. He knew that survival in the wilderness hinged not only on shelter and warmth but also on finding nourishment amidst the unforgiving landscape. Setting out with a determined stride, Mark's eyes scanned the forest floor for signs of edible plants and wild fruits. With each step, he honed his senses, attuned to the subtle cues that nature offered. His fingers brushed against leaves and berries, testing their texture and scent for any hint of toxicity. Drawing upon his training, he carefully identified familiar species, separating them from their potentially harmful counterparts. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Mark's efforts were rewarded with a bounty of wild edibles. He gathered tender shoots and succulent berries, their vibrant colors a stark contrast against the muted tones of the forest. With practiced hands, he filled his pouch with nature's offerings, knowing that each morsel would sustain him in the days to come. Yet, Mark's foraging expedition was not without its challenges. He encountered thorns and brambles, their sharp edges a reminder of the harsh realities of the wild. Undeterred, he pressed on, navigating through tangled undergrowth and dense foliage in search of sustenance. With each obstacle overcome, his determination only grew, fueled by the primal instinct to survive against all odds. As the sun reached its zenith, Mark returned to his shelter, his arms laden with the fruits of his labor. With a satisfied smile, he set about preparing his foraged feast, a symphony of flavors and textures that spoke to the resilience of the human spirit. As he savored each bite, he knew that in the wilderness, every meal was a triumph, a testament to his ingenuity, his resourcefulness, and his unwavering determination to thrive amidst adversity. As the days stretched on, Mark found himself locked in a constant battle against the elements. The wilderness, unforgiving and relentless, tested his resolve at every turn. From scorching days to bone-chilling nights, nature's extremes pushed him to the limits of his endurance, demanding nothing less than his unwavering determination to survive. With the sun beating down upon him, Mark sought refuge from the searing heat, seeking shade beneath the shelter of ancient trees. Yet, even in the cool embrace of the forest canopy, the relentless glare of the sun threatened to sap his strength. Drawing upon his resourcefulness, he fashioned makeshift sunshades from broad leaves and supple branches, their dappled shadows providing fleeting respite from the oppressive heat. But as day gave way to night, a new set of challenges emerged. The temperature plummeted, sending a chill that seeped into Mark's bones, testing the limits of his endurance. With the fire dwindling to embers, he huddled close for warmth, the flickering flames offering scant comfort against the biting cold. Yet, even as the night wore on, Mark refused to yield to despair, drawing strength from the knowledge that with each passing hour, dawn would bring renewed hope and the promise of a new day. And so, with each sunrise, Mark faced the elements with a quiet determination, conquering nature's challenges one obstacle at a time. From blistering heat to icy cold, he weathered the storm with unwavering resolve, knowing that within the heart of adversity lay the seeds of resilience. For in the wilderness, survival was not merely a matter of skill or luck, but a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human soul, a spirit that refused to be broken, even in the face of nature's fiercest trials. In the heart of the wilderness, where every day brought new challenges and unforeseen obstacles, Mark knew that survival demanded more than just resilience. It required ingenuity and resourcefulness. And so, armed with little more than his wits and determination, he set out to craft the tools he needed to thrive in the unforgiving landscape. Scouring the forest for materials, Mark sought out branches and stones, each one holding the potential to become a valuable asset in his quest for survival. With steady hands and a keen eye, he set to work fashioning crude yet effective implements, a sturdy staff to aid in traversing treacherous terrain, a sharp stone blade to cut through tough vegetation, and a simple yet efficient bow and arrow for hunting elusive prey. Each tool was a testament to Mark's resourcefulness, born out of necessity and honed through trial and error. With each passing day, his repertoire of makeshift instruments grew, each one tailored to meet the specific challenges of life in the wild. From fishing spears to fire-starting kits, Mark's ingenuity knew no bounds as he forged a path through the wilderness, one tool at a time. But crafting tools was more than just a means of survival, it was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human imagination. For in the face of adversity, Mark refused to be defeated, drawing inspiration from the natural world around him and harnessing its raw power to overcome whatever obstacles stood in his way. And so, armed with his makeshift arsenal, Mark ventured forth into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in the wilderness, where danger lurked around every corner, the true measure of survival lay not in the tools one possessed, but in the strength of will to wield them in the pursuit of a brighter tomorrow. With each passing day, the gnawing hunger in Mark's belly served as a constant reminder of the harsh reality of survival in the wilderness. And so, driven by the primal instinct to hunt and gather, he set out into the untamed depths of the forest in search of sustenance. Armed with his handmade bow and arrow, Mark moved with silent determination, his senses keenly attuned to the subtlest of movements in the underbrush. Every rustle of leaves and every distant sound sent a jolt of anticipation coursing through his veins, as he stalked his prey with the patience and precision of a seasoned hunter. Hours stretched into days as Mark traversed the rugged terrain, his eyes scanning the landscape for any sign of game. And then, at last, his patience was rewarded, a flash of movement, a flicker of fur amidst the dense foliage. With a steady hand and a steady heart, he drew back his bow, taking careful aim before releasing his arrow with practiced ease. The arrow flew true, finding its mark with deadly accuracy as it struck its target with a satisfying thud. With a mixture of pride and gratitude, Mark approached the fallen quarry, a plump rabbit, its coat a rich tapestry of browns and grays. With deft hands, he skinned and gutted the animal, wasting nothing as he prepared it for the evening's meal. But the hunt was not without its dangers, for in the wild, one was both predator and prey. Mark knew that every step he took brought him closer to the unknown, where lurking dangers awaited at every turn. Yet, even in the face of uncertainty, he pressed on, driven by the primal urge to survive and thrive in the unforgiving wilderness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the forest floor, Mark returned to his shelter, his arms laden with the spoils of his hunt. With a flicker of flame and the aroma of roasting meat, he sat down to feast upon the fruits of his labor, knowing that each meal was a testament to his strength, his skill, and his unwavering determination to conquer the wild. In the labyrinthine depths of the wilderness, where every step could mean the difference between life and death, Mark found himself faced with the daunting task of navigating treacherous terrain. From rocky outcrops to dense undergrowth, the landscape posed a myriad of challenges, testing his skills and resolve to their limits. With a map etched in his mind and a compass clutched tightly in hand, Mark set out on his journey, his eyes fixed on the horizon ahead. Yet, as he ventured deeper into the wild, he quickly realized that the path ahead was anything but straightforward. Steep cliffs loomed overhead, their jagged edges a stark reminder of the dangers that lay in wait. Thick brambles and thorns barred his way, their twisted tendrils snaking across the forest floor like silent sentinels. Undeterred by the obstacles that lay before him, Mark pressed on, his determination unwavering in the face of adversity. With each obstacle overcome, he grew more adept at navigating the treacherous terrain, honing his instincts and sharpening his senses to the subtlest of cues. Every fallen log and hidden ravine became a challenge to be conquered, a testament to his resilience and resourcefulness in the face of the unknown. But as the days turned into weeks, Mark found himself faced with his greatest challenge yet, a raging river, swollen with the fury of an early spring thaw. With no way around and no way back, he knew that his only option was to forge ahead, to confront the rushing currents head-on in a battle of wills and determination. With a deep breath and a leap of faith, Mark plunged into the icy waters, the chill seeping into his bones as he fought against the relentless tide. Stroke by stroke, he propelled himself forward, his muscles burning with exertion as he struggled to maintain his course. Yet, even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm him, he refused to yield, drawing strength from the knowledge that with each stroke, he drew closer to safety and the promise of a new day. And so, with sheer determination and unwavering resolve, Mark emerged victorious from the churning depths, his spirit unbroken and his resolve stronger than ever. For in the wilderness, where danger lurked around every corner, the true measure of survival lay not in the obstacles one faced, but in the strength of will to overcome them, one step at a time. In the heart of the wilderness, where the cold grip of night threatened to extinguish hope, Mark turned to one of humanity's oldest and most primal tools, fire. With its warmth and light, fire was not only a source of comfort but a beacon of hope amidst the darkness, a symbol of resilience in the face of adversity. Yet, in the wild, where resources were scarce and conditions unforgiving, the art of fire-making was no easy feat. With hands that trembled with cold and fatigue, Mark set out to master the ancient craft, drawing upon the knowledge passed down through generations to kindle the flames of survival, gathering tinder and kindling from the forest floor. Mark carefully arranged them in a pyramid formation, ensuring proper airflow for combustion. With steady hands and a focused mind, he struck flint against stone, sending sparks dancing into the cool night air. Each strike brought him closer to success, his determination unyielding in the face of adversity. And then, with a burst of light and heat, the tinder ignited, the flames licking hungrily at the dry wood as they consumed it with voracious appetite. With a sense of triumph swelling within him, Mark fed the fire, adding larger branches and logs to fuel its growth. As the flames roared to life, casting flickering shadows across the forest floor, he knew that in the heart of darkness, he had found a beacon of hope, a guiding light to lead him through the night. But mastering fire was not merely a matter of survival, it was a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human soul. For in the wilderness, where danger lurked around every corner, fire was more than just a source of warmth, it was a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit would always find a way to persevere. And so, as the fire crackled and danced in the cool night air, Mark sat by its side, his spirits lifted by the warmth of its embrace. For in the wilderness, where the cold winds howled and the shadows danced, fire was more than just a tool, it was a symbol of hope, a promise of brighter days to come. In the unpredictable realm of the wilderness, where danger lurked in every shadow and adversity loomed around every corner, Mark knew that injuries were not just a possibility, but an inevitability. And so, with a solemn resolve, he set out to equip himself with the knowledge and tools needed to tend to wounds and soothe ailments amidst the unforgiving landscape. Scouring the forest for medicinal herbs and plants, Mark learned to distinguish between those that offered healing properties and those that posed a threat. With each discovery, he carefully catalogued the uses and applications of each plant, building a mental arsenal of first-aid remedies to draw upon in times of need. But knowledge alone was not enough to ensure survival in the wild. Mark knew that he needed to be prepared for any eventuality, no matter how dire. And so, he assembled a rudimentary first-aid kit, filled with bandages, antiseptics, and other essential supplies to treat injuries large and small. With his provisions in hand, Mark set out on his journey, his senses heightened and his instincts sharpened by the knowledge that danger could strike at any moment. And when it did, he was ready, responding swiftly and decisively to tend to wounds and alleviate suffering. Whether it was a minor scrape or a more serious injury, Mark approached each situation with a calm and steady hand, drawing upon his training to provide aid and comfort to those in need. From applying pressure to staunch bleeding to setting broken bones and dressing wounds, he performed each task with skill and precision, his focus unwavering even in the face of adversity. But perhaps the greatest lesson Mark learned in his journey through the wilderness was not just how to heal the body, but how to nurture the spirit. For in the darkest of times, it was the human connection, the compassion and empathy shared between fellow survivors, that served as the greatest balm for the soul, offering solace and strength in the face of despair. And so, armed with his knowledge, his supplies, and the bonds of camaraderie forged in the crucible of adversity, Mark ventured forth into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in the wilderness, where danger and uncertainty reigned supreme, the power to heal was not just a skill, but a beacon of hope, a reminder that even amidst the chaos, there was always the promise of renewal and the chance for a brighter tomorrow. In the vast expanse of the wilderness, where the silence was deafening and solitude stretched out like an endless abyss, Mark found himself confronted not only by the physical challenges of survival, but by the daunting specter of isolation and fear. With each passing day, the relentless solitude threatened to gnaw away at Mark's resolve, casting doubt upon his ability to endure. The deafening silence of the forest echoed with the whispers of doubt and uncertainty, testing the limits of his sanity and resolve. Yet, amidst the isolation and fear, Mark discovered a reservoir of inner strength, a wellspring of resilience that lay dormant within him, waiting to be awakened in the crucible of adversity. Drawing upon this newfound resolve, he confronted his fears head-on, refusing to be consumed by the darkness that threatened to engulf him. With each step he took through the wilderness, Mark confronted the demons that lurked in the shadows of his mind, embracing the solitude as a means of self-discovery and introspection. He learned to find solace in the quiet moments, to draw strength from the stillness that surrounded him, and to embrace the uncertainty of the unknown with a sense of quiet acceptance. And as the days turned into weeks, Mark's mental resilience grew, a beacon of light amidst the encroaching darkness. He learned to find beauty in the simplicity of the natural world, to derive comfort from the rhythm of the seasons and the timeless cycle of life and death. But perhaps most importantly, Mark learned that true resilience lay not in the absence of fear, but in the ability to confront it, to acknowledge its presence and press forward in spite of it. And so, armed with his newfound strength and resolve, he ventured forth into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and conviction. For in the wilderness, where isolation and fear reigned supreme, the true test of survival was not in overcoming the external challenges, but in mastering the internal ones, the demons that lurked within the depths of the human spirit, waiting to be vanquished by the power of resilience and hope. In the vast expanse of the wilderness, where solitude reigned supreme and the only sounds were those of the wind whispering through the trees and the distant calls of wild creatures, Mark found himself confronted by the daunting reality of isolation. Yet, amidst the silence and solitude, he discovered the profound importance of communication, a lifeline that connected him to the outside world and reminded him that he was not alone. With no one but himself for company, Mark turned to the natural world for solace and companionship. He listened intently to the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds, finding comfort in their familiar cadence and rhythm. In the absence of human voices, he learned to decipher the language of the wild, forging a silent bond with the creatures that called the forest home. But as the days stretched on and the silence threatened to overwhelm him, Mark yearned for a connection that transcended the barriers of solitude. And so, he turned to other means of communication, carving messages into trees and leaving signs for any fellow travelers who might pass his way. In this simple act of reaching out, he found solace and hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was always the possibility of connection and community. And then, one day, as if in response to his silent plea, Mark heard the faint echo of a human voice carried on the wind, a distant call that pierced the silence like a beacon of hope. With a surge of excitement, he set out in search of the source, his heart buoyed by the prospect of human contact after so long alone. As he drew closer, the voice grew louder, until at last, he emerged into a small clearing where a group of fellow survivors had gathered. With tears of relief and gratitude streaming down his cheeks, Mark embraced his newfound companions, grateful for the connection that had pulled him back from the brink of despair. And as they shared stories and laughter around the crackling fire, Mark realized that in the wilderness, where isolation and solitude reigned supreme, the true power of communication lay not in the words themselves, but in the connection they forged, the bonds of friendship and solidarity that reminded him that no matter how dark the night, he was never truly alone. In the wild expanse of the forest, Mark's encounters with wildlife were as varied as they were unpredictable. Each encounter brought with it a new set of challenges and opportunities, testing his instincts and resilience in equal measure. Some encounters were fleeting and benign, a fleeting glimpse of a deer bounding gracefully through the underbrush, or the soft hoot of an owl as it took flight into the night. In these moments, Mark found solace in the beauty and majesty of the natural world, reminded of the interconnectedness of all living things. But not all wildlife encounters were so benign. On occasion, Mark found himself face to face with creatures whose intentions were less clear, a snarling wolf defending its territory, or a startled bear caught off guard by his presence. In these moments, Mark's survival instincts kicked into overdrive, his heart pounding in his chest as he assessed the situation and calculated his next move. Yet, amidst the danger and uncertainty, Mark never lost sight of the inherent value of all life. He respected the creatures with whom he shared the forest, recognizing that they too were fighting for survival in a world fraught with peril. And so, even in the face of danger, he approached each encounter with caution and respect, striving to find common ground and mutual understanding wherever possible. And then, there were the encounters that defied categorization, moments of unexpected connection and empathy between man and beast. A wounded bird nursed back to health, or a lost fox guided safely back to its den. In these moments, Mark found a sense of purpose and fulfillment, knowing that even in the wilderness, small acts of kindness could make a world of difference. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Mark's encounters with wildlife became a cornerstone of his existence, a reminder of the fragile balance that existed between predator and prey, friend and foe. And though the challenges of the wild were many, he faced them with a sense of reverence and respect for the creatures that called it home, knowing that in the end, they were all bound together by the same primal instinct, the instinct to survive. In the unforgiving wilderness, where the elements reigned supreme and nature's fury knew no bounds, Mark found himself confronted by the awesome power of the storm. With dark clouds gathering overhead and thunder rumbling in the distance, he knew that survival would require more than just resilience. It would demand unwavering strength and determination in the face of overwhelming adversity. As the first drops of rain began to fall, Mark sought shelter beneath the sturdy canopy of the forest, his heart racing as the storm intensified with each passing moment. The wind howled through the trees, bending their branches and whipping up clouds of swirling leaves. Lightning danced across the sky, illuminating the darkness with its jagged brilliance, while thunder rumbled like distant cannon fire, shaking the very ground beneath Mark's feet. Yet, even as the storm raged on around him, Mark refused to yield to despair. Drawing upon the lessons he had learned in his journey through the wilderness, he fortified his shelter, reinforcing its walls and battening down the hatches in preparation for the onslaught to come. With each crash of thunder and each flash of lightning, his resolve only grew stronger, his determination unshakable in the face of nature's fury. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the storm passed, leaving in its wake a world transformed. The air was crisp and clean, the scent of rain mingling with the earthy aroma of damp foliage. The forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, its inhabitants emerging from their hiding places to greet the dawn with renewed vigor. As Mark emerged from his shelter, battered but unbroken, he knew that he had weathered the storm with courage and resilience. And though the challenges of the wilderness were many, he faced them with a sense of purpose and determination, knowing that with each trial overcome, he grew stronger, more resilient, and ever more prepared to face whatever obstacles lay ahead. In the depths of the wilderness, where every day brought new challenges and unforeseen obstacles, Mark found himself tested to the limits of his endurance. Yet, amidst the trials and tribulations, he clung to a glimmer of hope, a hope that one day, he would be rescued and reunited with civilization once more. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Mark never lost sight of his ultimate goal. With each passing day, he scanned the horizon for any sign of rescue, a passing plane, a distant shout, anything that might signal his salvation from the wild. And then, one fateful day, his prayers were answered. A rescue team, drawn by the signal fire he had lit in a desperate bid for help, appeared on the horizon, their shouts of joy echoing through the forest like a chorus of angels. With tears of relief streaming down his face, Mark stumbled into the arms of his rescuers, his body weary but his spirit unbroken. As they led him back to civilization, he reflected on the journey that had brought him to this moment, the trials and tribulations, the moments of despair and the triumphs of the human spirit. And though the wilderness had tested him in ways he never could have imagined, Mark emerged from the ordeal stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever to seize the opportunities that life had to offer. For in the end, it was not just his physical survival that mattered, but the triumph of the human spirit, the enduring legacy of hope, courage, and resilience that would carry him through whatever challenges lay ahead. As Mark emerged from the wilderness, his body battered but his spirit unbroken, he found himself reflecting on the lessons he had learned during his harrowing journey. Each trial and tribulation had served as a crucible, forging him into a stronger, more resilient version of himself, a survivor in every sense of the word. Among the myriad lessons learned, perhaps the most profound was the importance of adaptability. In the ever-changing landscape of the wilderness, where no 2 days were alike and every challenge demanded a unique approach, Mark had learned to think on his feet, to adapt and improvise in the face of uncertainty. Whether it was fashioning tools from the materials at hand or finding creative solutions to unforeseen obstacles, he had embraced the fluidity of survival with open arms, but adaptability was only one piece of the puzzle. Mark had also learned the importance of preparation and foresight. From building shelters to gathering food to tending to injuries, he had discovered that success in the wilderness often depended on careful planning and attention to detail. By anticipating potential challenges and preparing accordingly, he had been able to weather even the most formidable storms with grace and resilience. Yet, amidst the chaos and uncertainty of the wild, Mark had also learned the importance of resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity stronger and more determined than ever before. From weathering brutal storms to facing down dangerous predators, he had confronted his fears head-on, emerging from each trial with renewed strength and conviction, and perhaps most importantly, Mark had learned that survival was not just a matter of physical endurance, but of mental fortitude as well. In the darkest moments of despair, when all hope seemed lost, it was his unwavering determination and indomitable spirit that had carried him through. For in the end, it was not just his physical survival that mattered, but the triumph of the human spirit, the enduring legacy of hope, courage, and resilience that would carry him through whatever challenges lay ahead. As Mark looked back on his journey through the wilderness, he knew that he had emerged a changed man. He had faced the darkest depths of despair and emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. And though the road ahead would undoubtedly be fraught with challenges of its own, he faced it with a sense of purpose and determination, knowing that with each trial overcome, he grew stronger, more resilient, and ever more prepared to face whatever obstacles lay ahead.